Hello.
Hello.
What do we got here?
Got a couple things we're working on. Firstly, the past few videos I haven't had any work gloves because I thought they were back at the shop, the other shop. I gotta say, I'm always looking out for the love of my life. That's right, you, behind the camera, right there.
Aw.
So Jamie's work gloves are at the house, and I'm like holding on, moving them around. They're on the railing of the porch, and then I put them down. They're always like right there visually. So if we're doing any yard work, her gloves are right there. And I can't find mine for the life of me. And last night, Jamie's like, when are you going to take your gloves and do something?
Actually, I stepped on them and I was like, why are these bleepy gloves still sitting here? Why don't you take them to the shop?
Because they're yours, and I put them right there at the front door, so you never miss them.
And I said, no, they're not. My work gloves are in my bag that I bring back and forth to the shop. I always know where they're at because I'm very organized like that.
Like me. So I got gloves today.
Yay.
The other thing, that Zephyr trunk pan, I was not satisfied with it. You saw me walk off the job, literally, because I was tired. So I thought about it, and turn around and look at this. I put it in the slip roller, and I flattened out the corrugation a little bit. So I put a little curve in it to mimic the old Zephyr trunk. And I can modify this a little by squishing it and make it a little bit closer to the actual Zephyr shape. But now it looks a little more organic, not such like a corrugated, barn side panel or something. So I'm satisfied with that. That looks nice, and it's super rigid now. So yeah, I got it back out of the Zephyr. A little more trimming, it'll go right into this. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this nondescript Jeep. It just showed up. We don't know anything about its past. Well, we realized it has some body damage on the side. And this is typical for most any old vehicle, from a tractor to a Zephyr to this Jeep, etc. What was wrong here is first it got dented, damaged, then the water came in, probably water and ice because this is fairly deformed. What happened was there was some kind of an accessory bolted to the side, and fatigued it. It just fell apart. That's just old age showing. So I have one of these little pockets that I'm getting. So we're not going to worry about this piece now. We're just going to do the sheet metal. And as simple, well, for me, it looks like a fairly simple task, but there's a lot involved, and we're going to get into this. There's a few major details that have to be replicated. One is this bead, and we don't have a bead roller, and everyone now is such a fan of the sheet metal brake, we're going to go right back into that. We're going to use the sheet metal brake and the stretcher, and we're going to recreate all this. Any questions?
Nope.
Well, I have one more thing to say before we get started. We're doing these video responses, so we're responding to comments with shorts. Not the shorts you wear, the shorts you watch. So we got one decent comment that I was really excited to respond to about the suspension, the air suspension on the Zephyr and shock absorber. So the more comments we get with questions that are intriguing, the more content there is. So while we're doing this, type in any questions you have, and we're going to make an effort to answer them, like actually, not just typing. Like, okay, we'll check this out. Let's visit your question, solve it.
We've had a lot of positive feedback on it. And so I know not everyone really likes to watch long format videos. So we're doing, it'll be a whole playlist of Ask Ian. And Ian, will you share what you shared with me yesterday?
Yeah, we're going to get into this a little deeper, but you've seen the episode with Kai and his motorcycle. If you haven't, Kai was the editor and so many other things for Easy Riders, Motorcycle Magazine, and V-Twin, a few other things. So We did a column. It was similar. It was in the print magazine. It was similar to Ann Landers. It was called Ask Ian. It was horoscopes, relationship advice, and technical questions. So feel free to ask me, your advisor, any of the above.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It ran for years in Rebel Rods magazine, like in there. It's called Ask Ian. It's pretty fun. So, but this time you ask the questions. I don't know if I'll answer them, but I'll have a response.
Yeah, we like to just go through and do them. It's a lot of fun. So, all right, let's get to work, Ian.
First thing, we're going to get a measurer. We're going to measure. I'm going to cut this out through here. It's going to take this whole thing off. So we're going to need a piece. It's about 13, my lucky number. It's October 1st, coming into the season. So let's just say roughly we'll go 13 by 5.5. No, let's go 13 by 6 because we're going to turn up. We're going to turn it up.
Ooh, your setup is getting nicer and nicer.
Yeah, I'm really happy with this. Put a square on this just to see. What are we dealing with? We need 6 inches. Pretty close, right there. We need 13. I'm going to leave it a little oversized. We can always cut it back. But you can't make it bigger. Yeah. This is one of the benefits of having this much clear floor space without the dreaded center post. It stations. It becomes a fluid walk-around.
And it's not hot in here.
102 outside. Let that car pass. I took people's advice also. I had many people chime in and say the swamp coolers will be more efficient if you open the bottom of the roll-up doors. So we have both doors open a little bit, and it's helping because hot air rises, cool air falls. So there's a ceiling fan pulling the hot out. There's a convection current. Science.
Are you feeling less of the humidity this time, like today?
I barely sweat.
I know. Fantastic. Look at us.
Okay, first things first. We got our rough layout here. And we see that this is a turn up. Yeah, that looks like a good 5/8 up. So we'll transfer 5/8 to this. We're going to put it in the sheet metal brake. Make it happen. Alright. So one cool thing about the sheet metal brake is you can really judge. See, it's got a number of little lines in here. So I got about that much hanging over. Same here. I'm going to bet. Let's use the simpler side. Yeah. It's 3/4 actually. I'll get it a little bit. So yeah. Straight through. It's going to be a 90-degree bend. Like so. Cool. And now, just like we did with the Zephyr trunk, this has that detail. It rise up across the top. Get ready. Now this is definitely damaged, so I'm going to look to one that's a little less damaged and kind of guess how tall up that thing is. Looking here, it's like about a good 1/4 inch. Now one issue we have with the sheet metal brake is 1/4 inch is going to be a really hard call on getting that to, I'll show you why. Just go right here, mark that, take a measurement. You got 3 1/8 roughly. So we're going to try to figure this out together. just like with the Zephyr, if we bend it on the marker side, it's going to turn up, and if we punch the hole, it's going to turn down. So right here at that measurement, we want it to turn up. Yeah. Just over 3. Just over 3. So I'm a little hesitant to do this because see this lip here? That measures more than a ½ inch. And you can see the rise on that bead was only a ¼ inch. How does one accomplish that?
A bead roller? Sorry.
That is correct.
I couldn't help myself.
So I'm just going to do this. We're going to fudge this a little bit because this is not some kind of a super technical thing. Just going to hit this with a line. Oops. Do that. And I'm going to crush it. I'm going to come in. See how a ¼ inch is going to put that over here? See, it's going to squeeze this down. So I'm just going to give it a good, roughly a ¼ inch there, just by eye. And then I'm going to bring this level so that both of those surfaces are parallel. And take a look at it. So, yeah, not perfect, but darn close. Let's see how big this is. So if you had a bead roller, you'd need one of those wheels, this exact dimension. This, you would have to have that proper wheel. It's not like a universal thing, so bead roller may not be the answer in this case. Across the top, that's 1/2 to 5/8, right in the middle. So let's make that. Keep it on the simple side of the wheel. Less lines. Alright, so we're right about 1/2 to 5/8. In the center of that. I'm actually going to make it a little bit undersized because it's going to explain why in a sec. So about the same thing. We're going to take that down, and then we're going to flip it to that ¼ inch mark on the rise. It's interesting, if you bought even replacement panels for certain vehicles, this won't even come close to the original stamping. So that's why I'm not like super concerned with that. So we got a bead. When the roll bar bolts back on, it's going to be on top of this anyway. So, come on, let's not delay about that.
That looks nice.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, so now we're going to cut this out. I'm going to mark this here. And we're going to take roughly a square off of that. You like this technique?
Uh-huh.
It's the aluminum block trick. Let's get out the cutting disc. Somebody asked me where my cat tools were on the last video, and they're right here. I was using a corded grinder cutoff wheel. Just because you have a tool doesn't mean you have to use it every time. Right? They're right here. They work great. Alright, so as always, we're going to use the clamp as the start off point because there's a nice tight grab right there. All right, and on a repair panel like this, you saw I put it in from the underside. I don't feel the necessity to butt weld panels like this. Maybe you want to talk about that in depth? Feel free to ask. On camera, are you catching how I'm dropping that little bead of metal? That's a little technique that can really help you when right there it is an open gap in the material where it joins. So by dropping that and keeping it cold, a colder weld, you see it really adds a big blob on top of that, but the result will be a really decent weld strength-wise, because that bead of molten steel gave a nice support from the inside. It filled it really well, so grinding it's not going to diminish the strength whatsoever. Alright, that's a good startup setup. We don't want to heat this up and warp it, so right now, stop, let it cool, on to the next. Told you we're going to use that sheet metal brake over and over. So now you see this shape here. You got the up, over, and down. So the down is going to be over 8.5 inches. So we're going to go 8.5. Get my fancy metal ruler. This actually goes without saying. If you're really trying to do something precise, use the same measuring tool. But you see how the way that I set it up, it was oversized to begin with. So 8.5, we're definitely going to leave that large. And then we have 7/8. It's kind of a rounded bend as compared to what my sheet metal brake will accomplish. So I think we're going to start our bend at 3/4, just a little fat of 3/4. And then a good 1/2 inch down. 8.5 plus 1/2 is 9, plus 3/4, 9 3/4 by, we'll just go 13. It's my lucky number. It's gonna go 10. Easy to cut it. $13. All right. All right, so we're going to start from the inside of that measurement we saw, inside of the bucket. That was 1/2. Fold that, and we're going to go roughly 3/4 on the next one. Again, I'm going to be a little more liberal than a 1/2 inch because this will just be hanging down in the body. We can just trim it later. Better to have it a little bit over, a little bit under. So we got 1/2. When I said about the 3/4 inch or 7/8 inch mark, this is how I'm going to arrive at that, because we're going to put a piece in there temporarily. Check this out. So regardless of how all this is looking right now, I noticed that when the Jeep was hit, this wall is pushed in a little bit this way. So I'm going to put a temporary piece. I noticed that this fits in there exactly. Can you dig it?
Mm-hmm.
So the primary thing I'm going to work with that sheet metal is that sheet metal wraps this perfectly. Because then I can put it together, clamp it, and I'm going to hit it with a hammer, just try to draw it out. To see this, that's what I'm seeing. This needs to get moved out just a bit, I'd rather have it all clamped together before I try that action. Bring this over to the brake. And this is literally as simple as put that in there, put that right there. Voila. Shut that on there to make sure it's a nice tight fit. Do a little squeeze factor. Oh, so yeah, that's the inside of the Jeep right there. I want to get this to mesh up as close as possible. There it is, cool. Yeah, I took that little slop. Well, there was a little bit of slop right there. It's all good. So let's just lay this on and see what's happening. Work smarter, not harder.
So me and Ian just had a whole conversation
About self-care.
about self-care and him kneeling on the floor. I'm sitting on my little stool so I can film like a pro.
Oh, you and your little stool.
Hey, my director's chair. I need one with the back. Anyway, so Ian brought that over
Self-care.
because he was complaining the other day how his knees hurt.
I'm some kind of wimp. I could take it. As I claw my way out of bed every morning and slowly come back to life. So this, can you see that crease? Is that registering it? Oh, I just registered it with my hand. Try to work that out a little bit. Oh, we got a little. So this is out. I'm gonna put this back here. I don't know if that's the answer. The answer might be here. There it is. Yep. That's straight. Look at that. I've had people make fun of me because I don't use body hammers. Random thought for the hour. Yeah, it's perfect.
A lot of people make a lot of fun of us for a lot of things, but a lot of people...
It's because we're a lot of fun.
Right? But all of you are so supportive and like loving and great, and we appreciate you guys. We kind of make fun of you guys that troll us because, yeah.
Well, it's just like how professional is professional. You can dig it, man. Yeah, so I'm going to come in and right now this interior panel is still gripping pretty well. So I think I'm going to leave that connected. You just have just a little bit of trim right through here. Just going to make that easy cut with my snips. It's only a very small amount coming off. Yeah, fits right in. That's cool. I'm not sure what's going to happen here yet, but we're going to leave this large because the best part of the trip is right here. How do we turn this in? I told you it was going to get good. It's the riddle of the day.
I have no idea.
The shrinker. We're going to get on that side. We're going to make a template of that fender opening. We're going to shrink. No, we're going to stretch. We're going to stretch this. Check it out. So, we're somewhere in this section. That's a lot of board.
Oh, God.
Yeah, roughly that is what we're looking for. Something around there. So, roughly gonna clock this just randomly about center, because this is a pretty horizontal section. And I don't know if this is much of an ellipse. We're gonna find out once we make that. I bet it's just a perfect radius. No, it's not. Look, it's much bigger on this side. See how I switch my mind that fast? So we want to make that with a turn in. So we're going to go about 1 inch here. And then, I don't know, how much is that? About that much on the inside. About a half-ish. Another fella sent in some wares. He had a good point. I don't have his message right now, but he's a active member, a big deal in the Ford Falcon Club. Loves Ford Falcons. He said, hey, get yourself one of them cloth tape measures. When you're measuring around a curve, you don't have to worry about bending your hard metal rulers. I said, you know what? I take your advice. He even sent it in pink. So you take it like this. We're going to want our metal about 14 inches. So, I mean, this is a very mellow curve, but you could see if you're trying to do this, it really helps. So,
he sent that to you?
don't you receive gifts in the mail?
Sometimes.
This is, again, not a super critical measurement. It's about 5/8. So we'll make the inner lip 5/8. We'll make this 1. 1 5/8 by 14. I hope we can get it. 14. It's gonna be close. We're not gonna make it.
Boo.
This one will do it. I'll cut this and then I'll clean it. So we're gonna go 1 5/8. I'm gonna sneak it a little bit. Do 1 7/8, so I can always cut it back. Alright, so we're looking for the 5/8-ish. There and there. Check. 90-degree bend. Alright. Now the fun part. Alright, so this is our template. This being the top we mentioned. And we want this to follow that contour. We're going to start shrinking. Excuse me, we're going to start stretching. It's weird, huh? This tool's been giving me a little fuss. Hopefully it follows through. Is that what we're doing? We're stretching. Alright, so I have a shrinker that we could correct with if it's overstretched, but the idea is to sneak up on it.
I think you snuck quite well.
Hey, howdy.
Oh my gosh, I was just going to say I'm going to insert a round of applause there.
I'm shocked. First time. Back in the groove. That's very satisfying.
That really is.
You witnessed it right here.
It's the little things.
Live. That truly was the luck of the draw. I can't say that I calculated anything. So what we're going to do here, you can see if I set that in place, it looks pretty groovy, huh?
Looks good.
I like it. So I want a really strong join here, so I'm going to lap this over. So we can let that sink in a little bit. So I'm going to lap that over and lap that under, just like that. Let's clean it, clamp it, slap it down. So see, I'll be able to get inside because this panel ends here. I could weld it here. That'll give it a really strong join. But tack, 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 tack. Slap the cap. Got a little rust in there. Have to burn it up. So remember, this isn't staying, so that's why I'm leaving it rusty. That's just a guide for the moment. But I'll be able to weld this to this panel by clamping, and then this panel will get welded right through here with some tacks on the inside just to really rigidize it. It's going to cut the tops off of these welds real quick with the grinder. Pop this on. I'm going to cheat this back just a smidge. See how the gap is opening? Change that. Be able to split that. Cool. I'm going to trace the back side of that. Now on this I'm staying above the marker line. We want the weld to be just onto the body flat area without any material hanging over. So I might have to trim it with the other red snips once again. Yeah, just a wee bit. There it is. Cool. Yep, right there. So I can feel this, and I'm not cutting myself on that. That's a perfect edge right there. Now the question about what to do here. Looking through, if we were to hit it close, oops. To say if we were to set that as an idea line, and that put that in place, and yeah, look, that one works perfect. We can set that into motion like that. There it is. Again, this is a good reference of a, I wouldn't call this something that's like a 10-point restoration move. Most of the stuff I do isn't that. It's a repair. It works.
Okay. This is Jamie's Jeep.
Well, it's also a Jeep. It's going to get banged up. So it's like I'm adding strength by lapping these panels in this area because there will be flex. So I'm just going for extra strength in the end. I could actually leave that tube in there and nobody would ever know. I could double it up on the other side. So options. So right through here, because it is double, it's actually 3 panels thick, I went and welded that solid right there because that is going to be an area that could just fatigue. This thing's going to be going over some bumps. That's what happened with the other thing. Whatever accessory like was there, you see that? That's from the constant wobbling out of the sheet metal. Now see, there's a little gap right here. I'm going to use that same kind of bead I was mentioning. You'll see the end of the MIG wire turns into a little glowing steel ball. So I'm going to short circuit it right there a few times to get that ball and just drop it. Now you do the same thing here and then push it right into place. One more. Now where this is lapped, I can just clamp it good. Sand that. See, where the material is stacked, I could just burn it. Just set it. Hop over to this side. So you can see right through. You can see the old material, the inner panel, and then this new top. Clamp that, and I'm going to weld that hard right through. So it's not like I was running a bead, but you see what you end up with. Very strong. Same thing, we got a little gap right here. And grab that aluminum block. I use this big aluminum block because you cannot weld steel to aluminum. So as a backer, it's perfect. It's going to pull the heat right out of that weld and only allow the steel to stay connected. So I'm putting it on to fill that gap. And clamp it. So you can't see any light through there. So I can just blast it without fear of it burning away. You can use brass too, I've seen guys do that. See? Drop that down to the bottom. Do another clamp. Okay, so remember the shelf in here comes in and turns up. That's what we're seeing right here. I'm going to put this clamp on that internal structure right there. And now I'm welding through this hole into the interior body panel. Probably from the factory, it was just pinch welded with a big instant type of electrode thing. So now we're connected. Put that aluminum back in. I'll finish that up. Cool. So yeah. That's pretty much the story. Let these out. Now just the last bit of tacks through here. All right, put a pretty good amount of heat into that. I'll let that cool down. And then as I mentioned, I'm gonna put a straight edge on it, hit it with the hammer. Still going to repair this much later, so we can always do a little more final alignment. Still kind of humid in here. So with everything we just went through, you know, I encourage your questions. We will do shorts and we will respond. See inside here, how's that panel is tilted up? I'll point. Right through here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to spot all that after this cools down. And finish up this connection, but right now it's quite hot. So the inside will be cleaned, welded, undercoated. That's that. Full custom fender repair. Let us know what you're thinking about. We need questions.